Okay, um, we're gonna draw this Lego here, and I'm gonna try to go as quickly as I can, just so this video isn't super long, okay? What I have here is I've got, you can see a Lego with a caliper that I'm gonna be doing a lot of the measurements with. So let us go ahead and get started with this. So I'm gonna start here, I'm gonna sketch right here on the top, okay? And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start by extruding the rectangle. Okay. Now, I don't just want to measure the rectangle. What I'm most interested in is the distance between these two posts, because that's really what defines everything. And I want to use a standard one across all parts in all directions, right? So I will take this measurement here and I get 1.253 as I go through that, okay? But notice there's four of these posts. So what if I divide that by four, it'll give me the distance between two centers of posts, okay? When I do that um, division, I get 0.313, okay? So that's I'm going to use that. That's going to be all the way through anything that I do. I'm going to recognize that those posts are 0.313 inches away. Okay. So when I go and I place this dimension, rather than whatever I measured it for, I'm going to say, okay, well, this is going to be four of those long. So I'll say 4 times 0.313 and hit enter. Okay. Similarly, on this side, I'll go 0.313. This will be times 2 and hit enter. Okay. Now I want to center this, so I'm going to hit these dimensions here, which this one will be, nope, not that one, half of this dimension. Okay. And then from here to the center will be half of this dimension. Okay, so I get that placed in there. And that's the way I want to do it rather than take those measurements and write them in. That way, when I have the next part and then I ultimately get to my assemblies, they'll be put through very easily for me. Okay, so again, that 0.313 between the posts is very key to this. Okay, so I finished that sketch. Now I'm going to extrude. Okay, now I will on this one get this measurement, but recognize that there are these flatter pieces in this direction, which are 1/3 this height. So if you do have a flat piece, you would get 1/3 this height here. So I'm going to take that measurement right there, and I get 0.378 as my um, extrusion length on this. So I'll go 0.378. And again, I will use that for all of them. I'm not going to measure every one that has this height. Again, the flatter ones are 1/3 of that, so you would use that height, right? So again, once you get those measurements, stick with them for all the parts that you have. So now I'm going to go ahead and do those posts. I already know how far apart they are. Okay, so let me go ahead and start extruding. I'm sorry, I need to do a sketch first, then I'll extrude it, okay? So I'm gonna create this circle. How big of a circle? I don't know, we'll get to that in just a second. However, I definitely know where the dimension of this guy will be because this will be half of that 0.313. So again, I don't make this measurement. I just know that those posts are 0.313 away. To get from that side, it's half of that, okay? And then the same thing with this side, okay? And rather than doing that equation, I'll just click on this, make them equal to each other like that, okay? Now, I will need to measure the dimension of these guys, okay? But the way I'm gonna do that is simply by taking this measurement where I go across these two like this, right? So you can see I've got from here to here, I've got uh, a radius, distance between the centers, and another radius, right? So I can just take this value, which is 0.508, subtract off that 0.313, and that gives me my diameter. Now, this is the diameter I'm going to stick with as I move through all of everything that I do here. So that's going to be 0.195. So again, that's another one that you want to remember. And if you want to jot that down, that's fine. You can use my values if you want. So those posts are 0.195 in diameter. They're spaced 0.313 apart. Okay. Now that I've got those, I can go ahead and create a rectangular array here, where I select my geometry, select my, oops, select my dimension or directions. I need to flip that, select my other direction, which would be like that. And again, these are 0.313 apart. Okay, but of course I've got 4 of them going this way, 2 of them going the other way, depending on how I have it. So I go ahead and click OK. It'll create that guy. Now notice if I was to do a dimension, say from here to here, it puts in that exact same dimension, right? If I had not used a standard dimension, that could have been like 0.156. Then when I go try to build these things, they won't quite go together. So that's why you don't want to make every measurement. You just take standard measurements and then build off of them like that. So I've got those posts there. So go ahead and finish the stage. Now I need to extrude these. Now in order to extrude these, I do need to get the height of these, and that's another one that we're going to take. So I hold it this way. If you don't know how a caliper works, um, this end slides out. So what I do is I'm going to take this, push it down, and then I can just read the dimension here, which is 0.072 is how I saw it earlier. But that's how you can take a height using the using the caliper. So I select all of my guys here that I want to extrude. Okay. And again, I've got that height measured, and that's 0.072. And then once you have that, you can always use it moving forward, and there you go. Okay. Now, you'll notice on the underside here, okay, it's still solid. Okay. I'm going to use something called the shell command. Okay. And in doing so, it'll pull out the shell, right? And I'll show you what's going on as we get in there. I'll switch back to the camera. So I'm going to go ahead and do a shell. And what the shell does is I click on this and it's going to pull out a shell like this, but I need to know basically the thickness of the wall. Okay. So let me talk about what that thickness is going to be and how I'm going to figure it out. Okay. So from the center of this hole to here is the radius, right? So that's that 0.195 divided by 2, right? From the center of this hole to the edge is half of the 0.313, right? So that's 0.313 divided by 2. The difference between those will give me the distance between here and here, because from this edge to here, because these have to be able to snap together, that will be the thickness of the wall, is basically the difference between half of 313 and half of the radius. So when I go into my thickness, I will say, okay, 0.313 divided by 2 minus 0.195 divided by 2 and hit enter. Okay, and now what you'll see when I roll this over is you've got this, and I'll prove it to you on my next drawing that those are tangent with that. And if you go over to this guy, you see, if you look in there, you've got those little holes just like that as well. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is this piece here. Okay, the inside of the hole is the same as the diameter of the outside. And again, I have to have a nice fit for those posts. I'll show you how to do that as we go through here. Okay, so that's the next guy I'm going to do here. Okay, so notice on that last one, I didn't actually take the measurement of the thickness, okay, because I wanted it like this. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm not going to take any measurements in order to do that. So I'm going to draw a sketch. I'm going to draw it kind of on this bottom face here, okay? And let me just show you. Let me start by projecting the geometry of these posts up here. I'm going to project these guys. I'm just going to do these two, I suppose, okay? And you can see that it is tangent with these lines, okay? Which is what we're looking for so they can have that nice fit, Okay, so now I want two circles to create these posts. Okay, I'll create one circle. Remember, that's going to be 0.195, right? Because that's, again, the posts have to be able to insert into that. Okay, and then I'll create another one that goes tangent to this circle. Okay, because now you see that it'll be tangent to that. That way it can snap right in there as we need it to. And again, you'll need to project these geometry to be able to create that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and finish this. Okay, um, let me exactly show you kind of where we are here. Okay, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to extrude that hole. No, I don't want two profiles. I just want, let me zoom in there. Okay. Okay, but it's going the wrong way. I want to flip that guy around, and basically I want to extrude it down to the next face, down to that face, like that, and click OK. Okay, and you can see now I've got that middle post. Okay, so now that I've got that, I'm going to go ahead and create this rectangle. Okay, I want to extrude that feature in. I'll go ahead and click. I don't have a, let me click the axis. In that direction, it'll be the Z axis, right? It won't let me select. Oh, there we go. Okay. And I want it to kind of go both ways. Okay. I want 3 of them. Okay. And again, these are spaced 0.313 apart. Okay. So I've created that. Now notice, I've only taken, what, 4 measurements or something at this point to create that. Okay. But now we've got those. I've only got one more piece I need to figure out here. Okay. And I'm going to show you what that piece is over on the camera. Okay, and you can see you've got this rib right in here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get the thickness of that rib right here, which I get to be I'm being a little clumsy with getting a very different number than I did earlier. We'll just stick with my old numbers. Oh, there it is. 0.034. Okay, and then I need basically the height from the top to down, because this doesn't go all the way to the top. So I'm going to take this guy again and take this. It's hard to show. Push that down like that. And that'll give me the height from that, which I get to be 0.083. Okay, when I did these measurements earlier. Okay, so let's go ahead in here and we're going to start a sketch. Okay, and I'm going to sketch right on this guy. Okay, now it's hard to see what's going on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch my view to wireframe. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and draw in a rectangle here. Okay, where's my, I'm going to draw a rectangle. Okay, and it'll start in here somewhere and go up like that, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put this dimension in there. Again, this was that thickness, which when I made that measurement earlier, I get 0.034. Okay, now I want this centered, right? So I'm going to do a dimension from the center point to this edge, which will be half of this value. Take that value divided by 2. That gets it centered. And then my last dimension is this depth dimension that I got from here to here, which I got to be 0.083. Okay, and I get that guy placed in there. So I go ahead and have this. Let me go and switch back to, I guess, realistic view or what have you. Okay, so there's that rectangle. Now I'm going to extrude this into that post. Okay, so I go extrude. Okay, it finds that. Obviously, that's too far. I want to go just to this face here, at which it stops, and click OK. Okay, now all I'm going to do is I'm going to mirror that across my axis. So I'm going to mirror this feature right here, and I'm going to mirror it across that plane there. And you see it's going to put that across on the other side like so, and click OK. Okay. Now what I've got is I've got my finished Lego. Okay. I mean, there's a few little minor things you could add if you wanted to, but for what we're doing here, to me, this looks good enough. Okay, and you see that's my full Lego. Okay, so the main thing here is if you want to use those dimensions that I use, that's fine. You're going to want to stick with those, and that's going to make the assembly much easier later on if you use that standard spacing, standard post size for all of your um, pieces moving forward.